Hey guys, it's Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I've learned, things that have helped me build up a sizable rental portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Today, guys, I want to talk about listing a property. So at the time of this recording, at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, we're seeing a lot of people turn their houses into rentals. So whether that's, hey, I'm moving and I've got a great 2, 3, 4% mortgage and I don't want to sell my home I'm moving from, I want to keep that mortgage in place. Whether that's they're listing the property and they thought they were going to get 400 grand for it, and now prices have softened, they can't get 400, they're getting 375 or 350, and they said, nope, I'm just going to rent it until the prices come back, and then we'll try to sell it in 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So we're seeing a lot of that come in line, right, or come down the pipeline. And what happens just generally when supply goes up and demand is relatively the same? Prices have to come down. Prices come down. The tenants, so supply, there's a bunch of rental houses or more houses on your block are being turned into rental properties, and your tenants have more options for the neighborhood. So instead of just 2 or 3 houses and they're getting snatched up like crazy, you have less options. So when you're listing a property, today I really want to talk about listing and getting your property marketed. And that is one of the, I feel like I always say the most important, but marketing your property, this is the foundation, like the start of it, right? Because when you're listing your property, if you have a crappy listing description, crappy pictures and all that, you never get the tenant in the door. So you can't screw up with managing because you never get the tenant in. So I just want to talk through a couple things with getting your property listed, when to do that and kind of how to do that to make sure that you get somebody in there quickly, because I've got another video, we'll put it up here. Vacancy kills cash flow. I want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind for the rest of your life as a landlord. Vacancy kills cash flow. Do not forget that. So the longer you let your property sit, it's just a couple more weeks, that will eat your cash flow, your annual cash flow just up like crazy. It just doesn't, it's weird and it's crazy when you actually put the numbers to it. So that video will kind of walk you through a couple examples. So let's talk about it. How are we going to get your property marketed? So first thing, you do not want to use iPhone pictures. If you're going to do it yourself, I would highly recommend against that. I would go out and hire a lease agent. They're going to take, on average, about 1 month's rent. So you hire this agent, they take some pictures, they write a beautiful listing description that makes your property seem desirable. The pictures are professionally done, so it looks great, it looks appealing. So they get leads coming to the property. And then they're gonna offer, typically, let's just say it's a $2,000 a month rental, half of that will go to your agent that you hired for listing the property, and the other half will go to the tenant's agent for helping them get you in the property, providing the documentations when you do the screening. So if you're starting with a blank property, the first thing I would do is go get an agent, a listing agent, an agent that specializes in listings. And the reason I say it in leases, not listings, and the reason I say it is a property sale is probably worth between $5,000 and $15,000 to an agent, depending upon their splits and the price point, whatever. Just say between $5,000 and $15,000. Whereas a lease for an agent is worth somewhere between $500 and $1,500. Now, if it's you and I'm telling you you've got an opportunity over here to make $500 to $1,500, and I'm telling you over here, you've got an opportunity to make $5,000 to $15,000. Which one do you think you're going to spend more time on? Exactly. Their listings are what the majority of agents make their money. So you want to find somebody that works really well with leasing and understands leasing and is good at it, because agents can make a lot of money leasing because leases come up every year. So agents can make good money, but they have to build a good network. They have to be good at leasing, because if you place a tenant in a property and then you have to evict them 3 months later, that lease agent isn't doing a good job at screening or whatever. So these people have built up screening criteria just like we have. And again, if you need that criteria or want to use our criteria, that's 100% okay. Go to emersonpropertymanagement.com. You'll see residents. Underneath residents, there'll be qualifications. Steal that, use it. copy it, don't care. Those are the qualifications we build up, the exact ones we give our tenants. So that's where you start if you have a vacant property. Get them to run a CMA, hire them, get them, they'll tell you to tidy up the property. They'll have some advice for you based on what the market's showing. So if every house in the market or every other rental has granite countertops and updated LVP flooring, and you have Formica and carpet, you're going to rent for less. So you're going to say, well, why did Joe Blow down the street get his property leased for $2,000 or $2,500? It's like, well, I hate to break it to you because his property's better. You're not the $2,000, $2,500 mark. You're at the $1,500 to $2,000 mark because you haven't done the improvement. So they'll help you, guide you through that. And it's really just based on the area, what's available, what other places are leasing for in the area. Now, that's first thing. And please don't skip on the professional pictures. Do not let an agent, if they list with iPhone pictures, fire them immediately. You should not have to pay for that anyways. The professional pictures, that should come out of their check on their lease fee. Do not settle for iPhone pictures. Make sure they get professional pictures. So that's first thing. So now, if you've had a tenant for 4 or 5 years and now it's coming up for renewal and they said we're not renewing, you've got a question that you have to, a predicament, right? Let alone the turnover costs and all that other nonsense. Are you going to pre-market the property? And by pre-market, I mean, are you going to try to list the property for lease while the tenant's home or while the tenant's still living there? I can tell you that there's a couple different scenarios here, like decision points. First one, are you going to do a lot of improvements? If the answer is yes, you need to wait. Tenants, and I am very guilty of this. I go out with my fiance, she can picture things and has an artistic flair and can see things that I can't see. I can't vision, and tenants applicants especially, have a problem envisioning themselves in the property with LVP flooring, this paint, a new kitchen. So when they go into the property and you say you're gonna do all that stuff and they see a grimy old greasy kitchen with cabinets that are falling down and old carpet with cat piss in it and all other sorts of stuff, it's hard to get that image out of their head to say, ignore all that. It's gonna be brand new when you walk in. They're gone. They're on to something else that's already fixed up. So in this competitive environment, please, please, please do not lose applicants by trying to list the property for lease too early. Make sure the property is representative of what you're going to do. Now, I can hear y'all already saying, Cameron, you're telling me if I'm going to do some touch-up paint and blah, 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 that I have to wait? No. If you're doing minimal repairs and maintenance, touching up paint, maybe doing some blinds, stuff like that is fine. But if you're going to do any major overhauls, like I said, bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, do a bunch of new flooring, you need to get to wait. It will behoove you to wait. You'll lease it faster. Properties that are fixed up lease more quickly than properties that are not. And you just, again, it's just hard to envision yourselves. This is exactly why listing agents tell homeowners who are selling their property to, take everything out, all the personal items, declutter stuff, because tenants and buyers have problems envisioning themselves and what they would do in the property. So that's one thing, right? If you're going to do a bunch of improvements. The other piece is, do you have a good relationship with your tenant? And sometimes that's a very amicable, hey, do you guys want to renew? The tenant says, no, we're moving out of the state. Hey, I get it, no big deal. Or I've got a job, I'm relocated, something like that. So those things happen. And it's an amicable split. And you took care of the tenant. It's literally just the fact that they are moving out onto bigger and better things, want to buy a house, whatever it is. If you have a good relationship with your tenant, you can do that. If you don't, if the tenant and you are button heads and it's not an amicable split, then you need to seriously consider whether you're going to list the property. And some people, again, don't like this, but in today's environment with leads having potential renters, they have a lot of options. And when they have a lot of options, if they get a bad taste in their mouth or the tenant badmouths you or something comes up, even though you might be fine, it might just be, their point of view or caught up in a bad scenario, if they badmouth you to one good lead, they're gone. You're not going to get them back. They have 20 other houses in the area to look at. So make sure if you have a good relationship with your tenant, you can go ahead and list. If you don't, please don't. You will kick yourself in the rear end. It comes up. They're difficult to schedule. They don't like to do that because they're already pissed off that trying to raise the rent or whatever it is. And so they're going to be difficult to schedule and get a tenant in to actually see it, a prospective tenant. And then when they get in there, they're going to be all grumbly and crotchety with the new applicant. So you don't want to lose that. Those are the two improvements, or there are a lot of improvements. Does the tenant, do you have a good relationship with the tenant? And the last one is just the cleanliness of the property. Maybe the tenant's not the most clean person. Maybe the tenant has a lot of pets. Those things as well. You can kind of correct that sometimes. But if the property doesn't look great, you can tell the tenant, hey, I need you to clean up. And I can tell you from experience, it's going to go one ear and out the other. Because it's very hard for you to get in the property and monitor the cleanliness. And again, keep in the back of your mind here, the tenants, your prospective tenants, do not have good imaginations. So if the property is dirty and it smells, you need to nip that in the bud with your current tenant and say, hey, you need to clean this up and tidy this up. And maybe go back 3 or 4 times and try to get that. But if you can't, do not list the property early. They walk in and smell cat piss or something like that, they're gone. They're not gonna, especially if they don't have animals. So those are a couple scenarios that you do not want to pre-list the property. Wait till the tenant moves out, do the turnover, make sure you have a bunch of professional pictures, make sure the property looks good, it's clean, it smells great, it's ready for that next tenant, and use that extra week or 2 to get it ready. It's not going to be the end of the world. I am very big on vacancy, very big on taking care of that, but I also understand how quick it is to lease a good property that's taken care of, that smells great and looks great and is clean, versus a property that needs a lot of work and hey, the repairs are going to be done in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks comes and goes and they're not ready. What do you do then when you have a signed lease with a tenant? There's so many things that come up when you're doing major renovations or the property's dirty and it smells that can just you're just asking to be set up for failure. So take a little bit of time, get the property ready for a tenant, then market the property. I hope that was helpful. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. Again, make sure that y'all are being cognizant that there are going to be a lot of competition this spring and summer. A lot of rentals coming online. Please do not take your listings or leases lightly. Do not take your leases lightly. If you're not getting traffic, drop the price and just keep, you got to reduce vacancy and get those properties leased. So I hope that was helpful. I'll see y'all next week. Appreciate it.